Welcome back to Tao of Twang. I'm Dave. So, round two on this one, on this progression. It's and this backing track, same one that'll be on your practice loop this time. It's A minor, C, G, and D. Okay, so it's in G. Now, there were some good comments the last couple days after that first round where we really featured G major pentatonic and the G major scale. And then mixing those two scales. And, that could take you pretty far. And a couple people mentioned A minor pentatonic. And I don't want to get too far off track, but you're on the right track in that it has sort of a central sound of that A minor. And by all means, you can use different pentatonic scales and things throughout a progression over different chords. And in this intro, I tried to kind of deliberately address that. The second time around of the kind of main phrasing of it, I go up and I kind of start with like an A minor pentatonic sound. But like I said, we're going to stick with the program here. But I just want, those of you that were on that thread about that, talking about that, that's good stuff, and keep exploring that, and a lot of these things will overlap. Now, turns out that in that one example there, the G major scale, it does have that C natural in it, right? And so the A minor chord and the C chord both have that. So that's kind of put that on the back burner for a second. That's not the essence of what we're talking about here today, but I wanted to address that real quickly and just keep that sort of thing in mind, right? That there's a lot of different things, overlapping, but it doesn't need to be as confusing, I think, as it sometimes is if we present things in the right order. So we've got a progression. We're going to warm up a little bit with just the mixing that G major pentatonic and that G major scale. Okay, nothing too fancy there. But already, just in that warm-up, if you're just going at a pace that suits you, and you're comfortable kind of at least monitoring, I'm using the major scale, now I'm using the pentatonic, and I'm doing a few of the little bends. Using that pentatonic pattern for major pentatonic pattern that kind of reaches down or traverses these three positions. Okay, you can't play a bad note when you use this stuff, man, over this progression. It is designed for it to work well for you. So, what's new today? Well, a couple times, in the demo from a couple days ago, I did this, and I did it once or twice in this one too, and that was doing these real kind of deliberate sequences of chord tone or triad notes for each one of the chords, okay? And I'm going to break this down into a kind of easy, simple system of shapes here in a second. But just to show you kind of what I'm referring to sound-wise. There's just a pentatonic, phrasing. Okay. Now, there's a lot of musical things you could do with that, and different kinds of note spacing and the timing and doing it sort of in a triplet feel or in quarter notes and things like that. But first things first. First, we want to discuss what is going on there as far as how are we locating those notes, right? And this is cool because it's kind of a really straightforward concept, but man, it'll add so much if you start weaving this in with your pentatonic and other stuff. Okay, so don't worry about stand in up to click with the track and everything at first on this. Go off to the side. Treat each one of these chords as its own unit for just a second. So our first chord is A minor. And when we say triad, we mean the root, third, and fifth of those of any chord. Okay, that's the triad. So our root, third, and fifth for A minor are going to be A, C, and E. Now, I think what's confusing sometimes is that they don't always stack up like they do, on page 1 of the music theory, where they're written on the staff, right? They're inverted, we call it, or the notes can occur in different orders. And on the guitar, especially on these 3 strings that we're working with today, the D, the G, and the B, those 3 adjacent strings. We're going to go up to the first string too, as well, the high E. But look at it as this is kind of being the heart of it. So we got A, there's an A, there's a C, and what you can do is, you can memorize a lot of this iconically or like by sight and sort of mapping and diagrams and things, but learn to and practice checking it with your ear. Well, if you know where there's an A, just double check that. Is that A? A lot of times I'll pick up and, hit this thing and go right on the downbeat and just start playing like 2 frets off of like the whole song or something, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I mistakenly didn't start on A there. So there's an A. C is the third. There's a C. Now see how they're not, right next to each other. So you got to kind of poke around. There's another one. There's a C. So we got an A and a C, and now we need a fifth for that A minor. Okay, that's E. Be able to kind of just, you don't have to do it real fast like that, but, use your ear to seek out where those notes in different octaves and unison versions of those are. Sometimes it's the exact same frequency. Right? Train your ear as you go, as well as using the diagrams and stuff. So, we got a C, and an E there. That's a nice little sounding, triad and position for that A minor, okay? Now, we're not going to do this as tediously for each one of the chords as far as, that's the process that you want to use. And if you need to get out a piece of paper and write what are the notes in these triads, right? And you can find that using other resources and things. But I'm going to show you like 4 shapes, 1 shape for each chord right here in a real compact area. And you can just kind of, work on that, and it'll be you'll be addressing this ear training as well as learning, some nice material to play solos with. So okay, and the next chord is C. So we go through a similar process like that. Well, we got a C. We already know we had a C. Our notes for the triad are C, E, and G. Okay, well, wait a minute. Only one of them's different. If we put them in a different order from that A minor, A, C, E, well, the C and E are also components of a C major triad. So there's the C and the E. We need a G in there, okay? Doesn't mean that the A wouldn't sound good over the C chord, because it will. Any note that's in that G major is going to work over this whole progression. That's kind of the net that we're sailing over here, right? If you can't really crash on this one if you follow these principles. So we've got a lot of similarity between the A minor and the C, okay? We could also go up and do using that high C, okay? Alternating going up and down works a lot too. It's just kind of an easy musical tactic, right? Okay, so there's a little preview. We'll break these down a little bit quicker. The G, we need a G, a B, and an D. Okay, G, B. And you, after a while, you'll just, if these look familiar to you already, then great. You're kind of already onto like kind of what making, stylizing it. But if this is something that you're still working out with these triads, this is going to be a nice little routine for you. In the demo, I may have done something like, because of course these triads could be extended out. Those tones, you could reach for them. And they don't always have to be in order of adjacent strings. In this main example I'm showing you, they are. Okay, and that's just a good place to start. But like I said, once you get familiar with these, or if you already recognize a lot of this, then challenge yourself to, skip strings and go up to other octaves and things like that. But keep it, in the middle of the road. Keep it where it makes sense to you. And I'm going to put this track on, and I'm just going to do that routine, maybe with a few little variations, but keeping it pretty simple. Okay, and they're just for demonstration purposes. I What did I do there? I started to, oh well, you know while I did that a couple of times, and I'm like, oh, there's other notes in that G major scale that I've kind of have already been practicing. We just kind of follow that little path for a minute, then come back and get recentered, then follow another path. You see how that works? That's the process of improvising when you have guardrails, when you have a system that you can trust that's going to work. You don't get as emotional and kind of worried about what your next note's going to be and stuff, right? You can really start to relax your mind and keep that more cleared out, and then that helps you to relax your body, which makes your playing actually sound more musical. Now, a routine for practice here. For a lot of you, that's going to be something to practice. Just what we just went through, and just kind of repeating that and really getting muscle memory for it. Then, go back to kind of our basic approach to this tune: major pentatonic, major scale, and then some of the triad stuff, and just mix it in. If it's the tempo's too high on the track, go off to the side and do it, or get somebody else that you're jamming with to play the chords and slow it down and make a different groove out of it or something. Make your own practice loops too. So I'm going to do a little bit more just of demonstrating those skills and get you to the jam track, and let me know how this goes. All right. Talk to you next time.